like this house, that house set like this, looking down the tree line about 30 feet in the distance. And in 1810, a lightning bolt hit that house, it burned, and it quickly collapsed. And the family made a decision we will never fully understand, and that is their decision to rebuild here. Why would you choose this as a location? We'll never be certain. But this is where the home has been since 1810, but it's not the house they built that year. That home would itself be consumed by the flame. The first house was struck by lightning. The second house was burned by the Union Army in 1865. So what you see today is the handiwork of the first female owner of this plantation. Her name was Julia Drayton Hasty. And after the war, her father would labor to build anything out here, but do not ever believe in this family. Because in 1865, they may have lost their house in Magnolia, but they also had a house in South Battery, a cotton plantation near Beaufort, and a home in the mountains of North Carolina, none of which have been touched by any aspect of the war. They had plenty of places to live. They just didn't have one out here. So in 1874, they built something called the cottage. It ran from that corner over there to where the white pipe is today, over there. 2 rooms on the front, 2 rooms in the back. And that was going to be the catalyst they hoped to rebuild the entire house. It was wishful thinking, and it took until 1891, and a very different ownership change. And it's always in the same family, but this family had a strong tradition. At the death of the current owner, the next oldest male heir would inherit, and that was why they followed until 1891. Photographs of John House because it's still a privately held collection. Your cell phone is owned to confirm that it's on silent or off. We greatly appreciate that. Your trade-off for those 2 requests I make of you is that the house is there. You all will come through with me first, and the rest of us, if you're wearing rectangular stickers, and you bought them at the ticket kiosk, you're going to bring them after. I know it's a cool thing to do right at lunchtime. You're going to come right in. And welcome again to Magnolia. I want to point out that the room that we're in is the first room you're going to see from the 1891 renovation. Where that glass door is that I just closed, that marked the end of the cottage that Julia Drayton Hasty's father built in 1874. But she remembered as a girl that the old permanent south wall was where this wall is today. And she built out the old permanent wall. This was airspace in 1891, but she focused entirely on the view. If you look through these windows, there in the distance is the Ashley River. And she always thought the most beautiful thing about the house would be what you could see from this level. On the south side of her father's garden is over here. Underneath us are kitchens, and they connect to this level 2 ways. Behind that swinging door and that retreating wall is the circular staircase and butler's pantry. Behind that big alcove over there is where the dumbwaiter system is located. It connected the butler's pantry with the kitchens underneath us. So for 1891, here in the middle of the country, this was a pretty modern affair. And the woman who designed everything you're seeing is the woman that you see in that image with the gold frame. That is Julia Drayton Hasty, the year she inherited the property. And in that year, she had been married for 21 years to the man in that charcoal portrait by the swinging door, William Hasty. The interesting thing about William Hasty is that he was a man, unlike her father, who did not invest a great deal in the Confederacy. It's interesting to know that Mr. Hasty was a man who split his considerable fortune made through banking and insurance brokerage 2 ways. On the war, U.S. currency held in a bank in Manhattan, Confederate currency held in a bank here in Charleston. The theory was very simple. One side would win the war, you still had half of your money from before the war. And he would parlay that into 2 different banks into an extensive real estate holdings throughout the United States. He'd known Julia Drayton since they were 5 years old, and they married on November 22nd, 1870 at Grace Episcopal Church. They were married for 36 years. They had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. And he gave her carte blanche to do whatever she wanted to with Magnolia when her father left her the property. She conceived of this as a place for the weekends and the holidays. By 1901, they spent so much time here that they sold their other property, and this is where they would live to the end of their lives. Julia Drayton Hasty died in 1920. William Hasty died 14 years earlier on Valentine's Day in 1906. And she lived to 14 years as a widow, telling anyone who asked that it was really his gift to her to return Magnolia to what she remembered to be as a girl. It was for her a quiet family estate. Her table was made for the room. It has 5 more leaves. They're all inserted. Every chair in the room is accommodated. What's on display is her everyday china. This is daisies and butterflies by Copeland Stone, a very popular pattern before it was discontinued about 1912. You remember on the porch I mentioned that 2 previous homes have burned down? I think it's an amazingly bold move. If you look at all the pictures in the house, these are all gasolators. Mrs. Hasty put gaslight in here. Remember, 2 houses already burned down. But think about where we are. We're in the middle of the country, so how in the world do you get gaslight out here? Well, it's not gaslight like you think today, where you get a clean supply from just mounted. There was pressurized kerosene that went from a vat in the basement all the way through pipes in the walls. You opened the stop cocks, you primed it, and you lit it, and then you had the semblance of gaslight. Think about it, you know kerosene, think about what kerosene smells like and what the soot would be like. That's why there are no ceiling medallions here today. Ironically, Julia Hasty would say she would never live in a house that had electricity. It was too dangerous for a residential setting. She apparently had no qualms about pressurized kerosene running through the ceilings and the walls. Her daughter-in-law lived here for about a month before these were converted to electricity, and she took that vat of kerosene and made it into a way to supply power for a generator. They did not have connection to the power system until after World War II. They had their own electricity generated through a generator downstairs. So who was that daughter-in-law who made these changes? When she died in 1920, Julia Hasty left this home to their son. And their son was married to one of Charleston's preeminent princesses of the 20th century. Her name was Sarah Simmons. And she would usher into this house an era of unprecedented entertaining that Julia had never imagined. She called the way she entertained in this house camping in the country. Few people had ever camped like Sarah Hasty did here, because she never camped with any fewer than 20 servants, maids, butlers, cooks, drivers, and fleets of bartenders. It was a wonderful era. Some of the most important people in the United States to be entertained in the drawing room we're about to enter. Sarah Hasty knew many people. I'll tell you all about how she knew them, who came here, and how this way of life came to a crashing halt in January 1951. When Norwood Hasty, Julia Williams' son, died and his will revealed, he had chosen not to leave his property to his widow. I'll tell you why I'm drawing room in just a moment. As we make our way through the home, if you have any questions about the collection, anything you want to ask, feel free to ask me. My name is Scott Holland. We'd like to entertain your questions as we go through it. Let's take a look around here. We'll go into the drawing room and talk about the era of Sarah, which was one of the greatest this home ever did. So let's make our way through it. Turn that here through again. Still hot. Now, we're going to talk about what caused the change in the house. This was now the front. Before 1891, the road side was in front of the house because the road was considered a super highway. But Julia Hasty thought that this would be the way of the future, and she was correct. But Sarah Hasty, her daughter-in-law, recognized an interesting byproduct of this room's placement. When the sun sets into the tree line, there is no more spectacular place for a cocktail party than this room. She decided that she would never invite more than half a dozen couples, she and Mr. Hasty, and someone that she had labeled the name of the day. And this is Norwood Sarah Hasty, 1922. She had one season under her belt by then. Notice this incredibly grumpy little boy in the picture, who grew up to be the last man to actually live here in 1975, and the name of the dog is Sarah's beloved Boston Terrier, whose name was Boots. It's interesting to note that Sarah Hasty was a woman who had been reared entirely by her maternal grandmother. Her mother died when she was 4 years old, and her father had no concept of how you would rear a little girl by himself and never remarried. So her grandmother took over her rearing, traveling the world with Sarah in tow, introducing her to people whose name would be staggering for anyone to meet, especially a little girl who's traveling with her grandmother. And her advice to her young charge was, when you're introduced to someone important, keep up with them over the years. And she did that. Over a 30-year period in this room, Sarah Hasty's guest books show that she entertained here Eleanor Roosevelt, the Gershwins, Henry Ford, a young Orson Welles, Eddie Rickenbacker, Helen Hayes, Edna St. Vincent Millay, Somerset Maugham, and before she was the Duchess of Windsor, Wallace Simpson, all received in this room. And then Norwood Hasty died in 1951 at age 62, 3 months after that photograph of him was taken. It's the big one there by the lamp. His will at probate had a surprise for Sarah. He had decided years earlier he would honor a request of his mother's will from 1912, wherein Julia asked that Magnolia never be inherited along a spousal line, only along a bloodline. So he left it to their 2 boys only, and then in their 30s and married with children. To their daughter, he left his life insurance policy, making her an instant millionaire at 31. And to his widow, he would leave his residual estate and their home in downtown Charleston at 5 Water Street. At age 58, as a widow, Sarah Hasty was set for the rest of her life. And there's one big footnote for this for every husband. If you decide to base your will's distribution on one sentence from your mother's will from 30 years earlier, that is news you should convey to your wife before your probate attorney reveals it to your widow. Because at age 58, she had no clue she would not inherit everything that they would share jointly. Just so you know, Sarah Hasty was no one shrinking violet. She promptly sold the house and left and bought a new home where she said she needed a little house with a view where she could continue to entertain in the way she became used to here at Magnolia. And here's what she purchased for her widowhood. If you know the city, you've seen this home, I'm sure. This is number 9 East Battery. 9 East Battery is the winter residence of Solomon Guggenheim, and there she outlived her husband about 30 years. To get your reference, this is the 3rd house when you leave White Point Gardens along High Battery, going toward the Yacht Club in East Bay Street. She lived to be 88 years old. She never dated again, never remarried, and continued the legendary entertaining she began at this room on a far grander scale. That's her picture. The last year of her life, Sarah Hasty was 88 years old in 1981, and as you look at her image, I'm sure you will surmise she was no one shrinking violet. She was a woman who would, at her death, have an entire editorial from the daily newspaper, the News and Courier then, devoted to her, saying that until a week before she died, Sarah Hasty was the last Edwardian lady in the city. She dressed every night for dinner, always wearing jewels, never had